Hi guys, and welcome to today's video where I'll be talking all about pet sitting. We are joined today with Dougal. Don't judge his hair, he hates it being cut and I am not talented. I'll also be including some clips of my pet sitting experiences. Now, I touched on this subject a little while ago, how I tend to look after other people's pets, as I literally haven't been on holiday even a weekend away for like 6 years. It's kind of sad. So I usually end up looking after people's pets. Now we're in summer holidays, I imagine quite a few people are getting away and taking a break, so this may be a great opportunity for you to surround yourself with animals and get paid for it. So in this video I'll give you a few tips and tell you about my experience. Today's video is sponsored by Rover. I have mentioned them before. Originally they were only available in the US, but now they are also available in Canada and the UK, so we can now all easily sign up and start pet sitting. It's super easy and free, so set your own fees, make your profile, set your calendar so you can work around your own schedule, set your preferences such as the size of dog you're willing to take care for, or even their age. Like if you don't want puppies in your house peeing and chewing things, you know, you can control that. You can control who and when you pet sit. Ideally meet up with the owner beforehand to work out if it's a good fit and then start earning. You can do house sitting, doggy daycare, drop-in visits, dog walking, or even earn more money by doing dog boarding, where the dog actually stays over at your house. Pet sitters who allow either cats or dogs to stay in their house overnight tend to actually earn double what other sitters make doing other services. Pet sitting at home also tends to be less stressful on the dog in comparison to like staying at a kennel. So if you can't commit to a pet dog or cat full time, but you have the room, you love animals like me, and you want some canine or feline company, pop over to rover.com/leopardgecko1 and sign up. And if dogs and cats aren't for you, you prefer to just look after something else, like maybe a guinea pig or a rabbit, something like that, you can also advertise to care for a range of pets over on Rover. Personally, I am a big fan of dog walking as it gets you out and about, it gets you exercising. Also, we have a cat who does not get on with other animals roaming in the house or toddlers. Yeah, she really doesn't like toddlers either. So bringing a dog into the house wouldn't be fair on her, so that's why I prefer to just get out there and go dog walking. So here are my top 5 tips for dog walking. Number 1, talk to the owner beforehand. Learn about the dog's personality, what's normal, what's not, if it's able to be let off its leash when out, how it reacts to other dogs or children or just generally humans, you know, in general. Tip number 2, know the area. So if you're just working in your local estate, you'll probably know nice places to walk, the local park or dog friendly areas. However, if you have to drive out to collect a dog or it's in an area you're not too familiar with, make sure you get to know the area beforehand. Tip number 3, make sure you know what treats the dog you're walking can or can't have. I remember one dog down the park could never have treats. To put it bluntly, most treats would go straight through her. So yeah, all she could have was like cooked chicken, so she's a very fancy dog. So the last thing you want to do is make the dog you're walking ill. Most nice owners will leave you some dog treats to give him or her on their walk. Tip number 4, on hot days make sure the ground isn't too hot for the dog to walk on. Sometimes the pavement or sidewalk can get far too hot and burn their feet. If so, either avoid walking at that time, you may have to just talk to the owner about that, or aim for shade and grass. Also make sure you're carrying water with you, especially in this heat at the moment. I actually got one of these bottles a while ago and they work perfectly for dogs. And tip number 5, interact with the dog. Dogs are smart creatures and benefit from human interaction. Make sure the walk is fun and interesting and a bonding experience. Even though the dog I walked was quite old, I used to teach him tricks when we were down the park, and I think when you bond with the dog, you get to know its subtle behavioural changes, so you can predict kind of how it's going to react in a situation. They're excited to see you when you take them for a walk, and overall it's just a positive experience for you both. Other than dog walking, I usually end up caring for small creatures like rabbits and guinea pigs, either at my house or the owner's houses. So here are my top 5 tips for caring for small creatures. Number 1, find out what food schedule the animal is used to and what it's currently being fed. Small animals like rabbits and guinea pigs have very sensitive stomachs, and any sudden change can give them diarrhea, which can rapidly lead to dehydration and death. Usually the people I've worked with have left me food and a list of their schedule. For example, some guinea pigs I'd look after, I'd go in the morning and give them almost like a breakfast, and then in the evening they'll get their greens, and it was very strict of what they actually got. The only time I've ever changed this is when I was looking after a rabbit for 7 to 8 weeks. It came to me on just pellets and hay. However, rabbits also need vegetables, and so over the 7 to 8 weeks of looking after it, I very gradually introduced a bit of veg into its diet, and overall he actually left the house healthier than when he arrived. Number 2, make sure both you and the owner know that small animals can take a turn for the worse quite quickly. Now this should be okay if the animal is young and healthy, but it does concern me whenever I take on small animals. If they get sick or if they're old, things can go wrong quickly. However, I did look after a rabbit recently that was like 9 or 10 years old. That's like the oldest rabbit I've ever heard of. Thankfully it's completely fine, but with anything like this, is very worrying. Tip number 3, if things don't go well, it's important that you are close to a vet, or at least you know the vet surgery that the owner usually uses, so you can take that animal if necessary. This is a given when looking after any pet, but small animals in general, as I said, can go downhill quick. Number 4, similar to the dog walking tips, find out about the animal's temperament beforehand, whether they enjoy human interaction or they're best left to themselves. Some owners would prefer you not to handle their pets too much, whilst others, especially like house rabbits, they'd prefer you to obviously let them out and exercise and also interact with you. Tip number 5, do not let them interact with your current pets. For example, I'd never let a rabbit or another guinea pig interact with mine. You never know what an animal could be carrying, like fleas, mites, or even parasites. You don't really know how they get on with other animals anyway, but just in general, you have to treat it like a quarantine situation. You can't just put them together. It's very silly. You could pass anything on to your pet, or your pet can pass anything on to them. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and remember, if you don't have the room for a pet or to take care of one, you can always volunteer at your local shelter. Most of them will allow you to walk the dogs or socialise with the cats. Normally you do have to apply and there may be a bit of an interview, but the shelter will appreciate it, the animals will appreciate it, and honestly I think you would get a lot from it as well. Anyway, thank you to Rover.com for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you check out those links, I'll leave them in the description. Let me know on Instagram if you have had any success over the summer with pet sitting. But thank you for watching, guys, and goodbye.